This is your weekend market review for Saturday, January 25th, 2025. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market review for Saturday, January 25th, 2025. Well, interesting week. Did not get the big red close like I thought was possible. We definitely got some pullback and chop as we anticipate going into the FOMC meeting on next Wednesday, the 29th. We know there is no rate cut expected. Literally nothing. So if you see in the headlines that an emergency rate cut or something's coming out of somewhere, promise me yourself that you will not believe the news, because if you go look at the Fed Fund futures, which we'll show you here shortly, the odds of such are zero. And the Fed Fund futures casino, essentially, that is taking the bets. The Feds don't like to throw wild cards at the market. They don't do that. And the anticipation within the finance world, economic world, is that they're not doing anything. They're on pause currently until some other later date. So again, just keep that in mind as we go into next week and you start hearing all the rumors and all the floods of wild stuff. So we know going into it, potentially, that the Monday and Tuesday before the FOMC meeting is typically going to be choppy, but I'm anticipating you could get the spike in the volatility index, and then we'll see what happens ultimately. Again, typically the foundation for this has been up, down, chop all over on the Wednesday FOMC day, and then the Thursday after that becomes more of the directional follow through into Friday. So again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. If you need help, you want to connect, use the Calendly link. Let me know I can help. If you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, and you are not hitting me up, that's fine. Not a big deal, but I think you would find great value in getting two agents for the price of one, and me helping you find the best agent in your local area. And if you need help with trading, want to go over some of these education videos on the YouTube channel, you let me know. So again, like, subscribe, and the notification bell. If you want to donate, links in the description below. If you want to hit the thanks button, cool. If you want to follow the trades and you're not in the Discord room, you're not into that, cool. On X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, this is what we got, right? Tons of this, post ideas, thoughts, trades, keep an eye on things. So the levels. Again, the resources are available on my website, also thetradeagent.com. Ultimately, what folks need to do is what's best for them. But if you want to invest in learning, education, get on these sites, check out the information. Let me know I can help. On that note, this is what I was talking about, Fed Fund futures. I mean, it's at 0.5% odds. Let's see if we can get even lower than that. Can we get to zero? No, 2.1. The odds of a rate cut are 2.1%. That's the casino, right? Like, think of this as like a boxing match. You know, this is Mike Tyson in his prime, odds of no cut versus his opponent, 2.1%. And again, the Feds are not in the job of disappointing and, you know, being silly with the market and kind of doing whatever they want. Now, they like to advertise and rig the action intentionally for their friends. They're not going to do things unintentionally, if that makes sense, to try to trick and confuse the market. That's not what they're again, because if they did that, think about what would happen. Politicians, people in the banking world, the powers that be would be very like, what the fudge are you guys doing? We control you and you're going off on a card and you're on tangents. No, they don't. Just don't do it. All right, Bitcoin chopping around. Talked about this. You can get bullish over the highs. You can get bearish on the lows. The problem is most Bitcoin bulls who are in delusion of potentially, again, I'm not saying it can't break out soon, but we've always said this. After big moves, you get into choppy action, right? Digestion. The digestion is officially over when you can break out and confirm it, but the digestion can last longer than you think. Just keep that in mind. Oil, we talked about hitting the upper bounds of near-term resistance. Boink, pulling back. Looks like near-term you should hold 74. Probably chop around going into the FOMC meeting. Keep an eye on it. Natural gas, holding up pretty dang well. Just is what it is. We like natural gas. I mean, again, I've said I like commodities long-term. I expect ultimately that there will be a shift from the powers that be that will be investing in tech, because they know they need inputs. If you want to grow this amazing future of technology, we are underinvested into the inputs. I hate having this conversation. I say it all the time, but it's not easy. Dollar posted this on Friday, said, damn, that's a lot of volume. Damn, we finally hit the range lows that we talked about. Damn, Dan. No, just in general, keep an eye on this 100-day area. Looking very interesting. Big volume. You had it here and then you ended up going higher. Could we hit that and go maybe a little lower down to the 200-day near term? Again, I'm not trading the dollar, but I watch it for volatility. Bonds. We talked about the 88 level might be a problem. We talked about, hey, if you pull back, watch the 8 and 10 day. Well, there you go. Everything's playing out like we talked about it. Could this be a head and shoulders bottom? It's always possible. However, to really trust that the bonds market is going to actually do anything until the Feds speak on Wednesday and the action on Thursday, no, probably not. Not saying that you can't get back to 88 or trade around 86, but what I'm saying is for the full potential to be released in the bond market, the Feds have to speak. Does this make sense, right? The Feds is like the earnings for bonds, right? Like whatever they say is really going to affect the bond market. And why would anyone take any big, not they can take big bets, but why would the market really move heavily until people get confidence that in one way or another? Make sense? Cool. VIX, we've talked about it chopping around here, filling the gap. Okay, now this is where it gets a little like interesting. Look at the VIX, right? Holding a 200-day, chopping around, seems to have bottomed first. Keep an eye on it, because again, the VIX typically bottoms first. Spy guy, my guy. At new highs, got over, but we have a little gap. We have now holding up. Friday's indecisiveness. Again, I'm not really. Again, if there's money rotation, I don't want to short necessarily the SPY. I think the best rotation short is money leaving tech. So if you want to go long certain names, it's probably not tech. And again, people are like, what? Are you high? Well, look at the action. QQQ is not making a new high. Big volume off the lows or highs, not making the new highs confirmed. 3-day range, again, could we retest highs? Anything's possible. It's a probability game. If I come on here and told you for certainty I knew what the fuck the market was doing, I would be a trillionaire and I wouldn't tell you what to do. I'd be doing it on my own, hiding and printing money. Instead, I try to offer probability-based trading solutions to make the most amount of money you can. And there's no certainty in markets. Again, it's like, talk about this with trading. You can get pocket aces and you can still lose in poker. Again, you are playing probabilities. You're not playing certainties. Now you have a 3-day range. See what happens. You get over it, get back to the highs, you break below it, you start filling the gaps. Make sense? Keep it simple, stupid. IWM has been holding up pretty damn well. Off of the lows, as again, we talked about oversold, right? Like chopping around. And again, here's where it's hard. Are we confirming new highs in the IWM as the SPY makes new highs? Keep an eye on it, right? Like here's a sign of potential. Again, this is why I think it's a trader's market until it's not. Keep an eye on it, right? Like you got lagging in that. DIA, another one that had been leading for a long time, pulls back. Now, I mean, you're at, look at this SPY guy, SPY, my guy. Keep an eye on this area. Keep it simple, stupid. Gold, can it break out before the Feds? The same thing as like bond market. It's possible. I don't anticipate it to, because it's usually typically not. But here's the thing. As I've said, you disappear for a year, gold's going to be higher. In the near term, it could chop around, but it's hard to really trust the other games in the area because, again, silver lagging. Gold miners lagging, right? Look at silver. You would think if gold is confirmed, like silver is going to confirm the gold move and vice versa, which they typically do. They run paired together. You'd expect silver to be flying. It's not. Okay, we'll see what happens here. Miners, gold miners, right? You would think these would be near all-time highs. Or not all-time, but the low highs off the lows. They're not. Something's off. There's a clear dysfunction in the market of pricing, meaning either gold's coming down, gold miners are not going to be able to print money because of economic conditions, or gold prices are coming down. I don't know the right answer. But I do know based on the action that I'd be wary. That's all it is, right? Like long term, again, I think you can disappear and go live in Turks and Caicos and come back a year from now. You'll probably see gold miners at higher prices. GDXJ, same kind of thing. Seem to be lagging. We can go run all through AEM. Seems to be the leader. We talked about you want to own the leaders in the long term, right? Or the leaders will lead to give you the idea on the long term and probably one of the better ones to own. So that's one. AG, again, is a silver name. It's not leading, but keep an eye on it, right? Newmont, like this one should be holding up. Again, this is where when you see the full move of potential of a sector, they all should move with it. It's just then you see who's the leaders and see who's not the leaders. Newmont should be leading, right? The largest gold company in the world, right? Gold's up near all-time highs. Why are we significantly off the highs? So again, there's a massive disparity of value in the market. And something's going to have to give at some point. Again, I think long-term, gold goes higher. These things will be significantly higher. Near-term, trader's market, right? Wait for the FOMC. Simple, good, got it. Taiwan Semi, talked about this, the Baron, BT, kind of gamble trade. Like someone was buying a ton of calls on Friday, and I was like, I think that's a trap. Not saying next week we couldn't go higher, but it seems to be what? Right? Holding up pretty well. But ultimately, when you zoom out, you got to be on red alert, right? Like chop bottoms, making new lows, then eventually flip. I feel like we're in the same thing. Could we get to the point 1.618? I mean, it's always on the cards, right? Again, I personally believe, again, when you start looking at deeper certain tech, you'll see it's not confirming everything. Certain ones are holding up. Okay, you can't discount that, but certain ones are not. Speaking of not, Micron, right? Big choppy range. Again, Taiwan Semi makes the chips for all these guys. The ones that are actually like trying to sell these things, good luck. 200-day, watching it. AM Dizzle, right? Same kind of thing. Just, excuse me, I just sharded. No, you see what I'm saying? Like people are really bullish on this. I'm like, if you can't hold up well in an up market, what happens if the market pulls back? Like that's the question you got to ask yourself. So and be real honest. NVIDIA, we talked about this again, another BT, like someone was buying calls on these at the high. We're like, watch the 3-day range, opens high, closes low, engulfing bar. But again, going into the FOMC meeting, probably the worst case scenario is you fill the gap 50-20-day confluence here and chop around. Or if it's worse than we think, and again, you don't know sometimes until the news comes what's going on. Again, I still think this is the easiest short ever because again, the valuation, the way they're pricing this in, and everybody knows, it's like when Tesla was at the top of the car market, right? And they priced in that premium in the stock in 2021. After that, Tesla had to earn it. And then it was like, oops, it's actually not that. It's very hard, the car business is competitive as hell. Same thing with, I think, with chips here, and why I think this is the easiest trade to short in time. Because again, not that they're going out of business, but competition's coming. Margins start flatlining. Growth starts going negative, right? Losing growth, losing market share. Like when you're on top of the mountain, like remember this analogy. When you're on top of the mountain, there's only one way to go at some point. SMCI looks like it could be breaking the wedge. I know people looking at this. Again, Sam, I wish you luck. I don't know. This one's a toughie. We've talked about this one. These guys cooked the books. Their auditor left, and now they're saying everything's cool. Hey, your guess is as good as mine. You know your risk. Intellectual properties, we talked about. There was probably a trade off the double bottom. The double bottom and the double bottom. All right, double. We talked about probably hitting some resistance. Now you're backing off. Intel is just a laggard. I'm sorry. I don't think anyone's going to buy them out at a premium. If they buy them out, it's as a charity buyout, like meaning we'll buy you at $19, $20, $21 a share. You're not going to get paid, in my opinion, on this one. AVGO, we talked about this one breaking the trend or whatever, the flag. Then we retest the highs. Big moves lead to consolidation. Right, here you go. Here's like a big blow off, and then you go into chop. Again, if this is going higher long term, fuck if I know. But if you zoom out, you go, whoa, this has been a monster. And now what, right? You're up at the highs after a big move and a big gap up. At worst, it's going to chop around. If you don't believe that, then go study the past. I wish you the best of luck. And again, if it does go higher out of extraneous things, good luck. But the probabilities say it's going to go into the sideways market action. SMH, look at this, right? Same kind of thing. Big choppy action not leading up. Again, I think you can buy this out. Again, I wish I could tell you for sure what's the best trade and how it's always going to work out. But again, you have to manage your trade. If you got stopped out, you get stopped out. But it makes sense to me that, again, these are not leading the market higher. Makes sense? You see that? Like SMH is not flying off the shelf. Adobe, chopped around, said if you break the 20-day, you've got potential here for more down. Because again, the trend is your friend. It is trading. But if it holds over the 20-day, probably don't want to short it. Because now this 20-day can become support and you can maybe build for a bounce. Make sense? Cool. Apple fruit. I don't know how we don't hit the 200-day at some point. It just seems very obvious. You're down here. It's going to act like a tractor beam. We've sold off. It's lagging. Again, here you go. Tech is lagging. Keep an eye. Not all tech, but we talk about tech, right? Amazon, been holding up pretty damn well. Again, names you probably don't want to short other than for a trade or just leave them alone. This one seems to be holding up, but here's the thing. I would be on red alert. Again, retests love to happen. Is this a bull trap? You don't know. I don't know where to put this. Like, just watch it. Like, are we really breaking out? Or is this a bull trap? Only you know that, and then that's why you manage your positions. Meta, we talked about the short on this at 630. Talked about you probably need to take some profits on the 50-day. You could reload, and then if you stopped out, you got stopped out. Again, they had some news. Okay, congrats. Again, AI stuff, Zuckerberg. Again, I'm not saying that we can't go higher, but the probabilities after this amazing run of continues to go higher gets a little suspect. But here's where you have to respect the price action. If you break out, you stop out. Now you see if there's follow through, because if it fails, you can always get back in. Or if it shows some sort of indecision or some sort of candle or something, that's where, again, you give yourself options to act. And if you lose, keep it small. If you're winning, go with it. CRM, we talked about this one, bouncing, cool. Blow off top, talk about the consolidation. Again, big moves, consolidation, I mean, it's a recurring pattern. Guggenheim, we know they got the chips or the whatever, the next level stuff. This one has to go, I mean, it has to get over this 200 plus area to break out, confirm it. Microsoft, I've sniffed that they're in talks to buy TikTok. A nice bounce on that. We'll see what happens. Again, it's not easy. NDAQ, watching this one, again, it makes sense to short up here, right? Keep an eye on these levels. We had a nice bounce. I personally think that ultimately this exchange will not have the same volume and capacity, because they're not industrial, they're not commodity heavy. It's all tech. MicroStrategy, talked about this one, trading around trusts. I have zero trust on it. After a big move, go into consolidation mode. I'd be rather watching the range lows or extreme lows for a buy. And you could short the highs if you really want to. Netflix, this one we talked about bouncing. Look where it bounced to for earnings. We said if you have multiple days up here, you might be able to suck out the IB, which we have if you sold out of the money calls. I drink your milkshake. Yeah, look at that. IB came out. Boom, you're good. And now again, do you want to short and buy puts now once the IB comes? That's your question. Look, zoom out. You can see it makes sense. The risk reward would be probably in your favor. Roadblock seems to be holding up pretty damn well. PanW, we like these names. We like cybersecurity, right? Cybersecurity, right? Cybertron. This level matters, though. Let's just see what happens. Hit the 50-day in Doji. Again, it's tough to trust this stuff if you expect there's about to be some sort of volatility in the market. Tesla. Again, another one. Big up move. Don't get mad at me when I tell you it starts going to the chop zone and pulling back. That's part of the game. Again, this is where you get stuck in it. You could have taken some money and started trading. What if you bought, you name it, holding up pretty well, right? Maybe you bought the oil and gas names. Maybe you bought some of these industrial names. Maybe you played some of the trades that we talked about. Or you shorted some things. So, right. Insight, again, think they're a buyout target. Palantir, this one got the bounce. Be careful. It was funny because we talked about the Kramer, like he's like, this one can only go higher. Look what happened on Friday. Again, I'm not saying long-term it's dead, but it's due to consolidate. Does this make sense? Again, I feel like I'm broken pattern or a broken record. McDonald's holding the 200-day, seems okay. DKNG talked about you can start reloading the shorts up here with defined and tight risk. Seems logical. Airbnb chopping around. Man, if you take out this recent lows, I don't know what's going to happen other than maybe you go lower. Costco, we talked about the dead cat bounce from the 100-day. It feels like the blow off top after a monster move. Now they're getting employees striking. I mean, look at this thing. This thing's been on fire. Not saying necessarily it has to fucking dump, but it might go into this big chop zone. And so you can trade the ranges. If you're long-term, long equity, I'd be selling options on this. I'd be selling calls and puts at extremes. Starbucks, again, they got to earn the premium. They're in the chop zone. FedEx looked like it was going to break the bottom. Said probably not if the market's holding up. So far, so good, meaning like, again, it's going to chop. Caterpillar, here's industrials acting like tech stocks. Look at these zoomers, right? There you go. Held it back up at the range. See what happens up here around the 4.7, 4.10 level. DE acting like a freaking tech stock, right? I'm trying to tell you guys, if you see the writing on the wall, right? They're acting like it. That's crazy. Big moves. Congrats. Again, I'm just watching. Nucor, again, some of the commodities haven't finished basing yet, in my opinion. Worth watching. X. We like X. Again, I like all these names I'm showing you. I just don't like them until I like them. And again, I think you're close. Again, it depends on your time frame, right? If you want to trade them versus own them. Because again, if you like look at VALE, we said you could probably own the stock and hold on to it. Look at the big volume off the lows after a big down move. It's probably due to base here. Cool. Arrow, chopping around, right? CCJ, been a big fan of just the idea that after this move in commodities, that at some point it will be a buy. I just don't want to play that game. And now you're struggling up here against some resistance. We'll see what happens. CF, this was pretty nutty, right? Look at this. Right? Like, don't chase the up action. Again, there was some call activity going on it. Popped. Now what, right? Like, trust me, I like these names, but I don't trust them, meaning like they're trading. Again, if you're trading options, you probably got to be tight on them, but if long-term, you'll probably be fine. Does this make sense? NTR, same kind of thing, chopping around. AA Aeron had earnings on Wednesday, right? Dropped on earnings, chop around. We like aluminum, keep it simple, stupid. XLF seems to be one of the thorn in my sides. Again, I'm not perfect. I promise you I will lose money just like everyone else. I think the shorts make sense up here because they hold all the bags for all the issues that's coming. We'll see what happens here. And JP Morgan, to me, makes sense to short up here. I have long-term puts. I'm hoping I don't lose all of the premium on them, but I can define it if I want. I've got June. I'm going to be patient. I don't need to sit here and think about it too much because, again, if it proves to be right, great. I've lost money on options before. It's not going to be the end of the world. Morgan Stanley chopping at the highs. Bank of America lagging, right? Keeping on. Again, looked like JP Morgan's been getting some of these failed junior banks. Again, junior banks are still failing, guys. Goldman Sachs holding up pretty well. Credit where credit's due. Goldman, again, it seems to be a pretty solid come. Again, if you've got one of the Marcus accounts, I wouldn't be worrying about them going out of business just yet. Again, we talked about the dead cat bounce on the KRE. Look where it seems to be getting stuck around the 50-day. Keeping on. XBI, we talked about this one bouncing off the lows, right? Big choppy zone. I mean, you really need to see risk on, or for risk on, you really would need to see junior bios flipping and ripping. Jets, again, we talked about the action, like a choppy top. We'll see what happens up here. Again, some of the earnings on these names have been pretty solid, but they also are warning future, right? That's not surprised. XHB, talked about housing, how it's lagging. Builders have tons of inventory. They have the most inventory they had in 40 years. Here you go, 200-day, chopping around. XRT, every once in a while I like to check this out, right? Seems to be, again, I was watching this here. Let me just open it up. So take it to the 50-day in this gap. Keep an eye on it. Because again, if this goes, it goes. If not, be careful. Oil, we talked about the dead cat bounce, potentially near term, especially going to the FOMC. I mean, not necessarily dead cat bounce, but just like you go up real fast, you pull back fast, you're probably going to chop around. UNG, again, I'm not a fan of this product. I think it sucks, but whatever. People watch it. KOLD. Again, I think this was the greatest trade of the year so far, in my opinion. Shorting up here, covering a little, reshorting, or just letting the rest ride. Now you take the profits and you chill the fuck out. You can make your year doing that. XOP, we talked about this was a great up trade, and then it was due to pull back and chop around. Well, here you go. Now you need to hold the 140 area. Keep it simple. Stupid, right? CVE, like this is what's hard. Oh, I skipped solar. I'll get into that in a second. CVE, chopping at the lows. Solar, almost forgot. Again, we talked about these are dead cat bounces. Like if it can't rise when oil's rising, something's off here, right? Not necessarily meaning that they have to go get destroyed more than they already have. Like these names are like flatlining, but it just probably means there's going to be no momentum anytime soon. ENPH, First Solar. Again, I like First Solar, I think in the sense of like its relative strength long-term, but doesn't mean it can't get beaten around. HYG, are you high buying corporate debt yet? Good luck with that, right? CV, let's get into ExxonMobil. Again, names that were holding up okay, and then it's starting getting a little weak here. This is where we saw some of the action. We talked about the gasoline names being all over the place in the last couple of days, right? Strength, pulling back. Now what happens near recent highs? Just watch those levels, right? Watch the most recent highs. You break over them, should be bullish. If you don't, you got the 100-day, could get more in the chop cycle, right? BP, we like this long-term. Way easy trade here, right? We broke the downtrend, double bottom, decent volume, explosion. Now you're chopping off the lows. Not okay, not a problem. Same thing like Occidental. Like I think you're going to be all right buying these names down here at some point. And when I say some point, meaning like just got to be patient. EQT, right? We like this long term. Again, this one's been holding up really damn well. And last but not least, Flex, L, and Jizzle, because I think we'll be natural gas exporters. All right, do you have any questions about the markets? You want to reach out? You want to chat? You need to hit me up? Don't hesitate. Please, love to help. Let me know what you need. I'm always around if I am around. Give me a call. Give me a text. Check out the Calendly link. Let's connect. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.